several countries, let me say countries coming from the southern part of the world, are in the middle of a double pressure. On the one hand, there is the positive perspective of a democratic world, our world, the positive perspective of the United States of America, of the European Union, who aim to re-establish a relation, for instance, with African countries. On the other hand, we have China. China, but for the reason that we mentioned before, is trying to set up alliances in order to compete with the Western world. Well, the tricky issue for several countries is that nowadays the relationship with the Western world, with the United States, is very positive, but the United States claim for something in the relation. For the exchange is based on, for instance, the establishment of democratic systems and positive values. On the other hand, there is let me say, the perspective of China, which provides money without asking for nothing in exchange. Well, this is what is going on. It will be very interesting to observe whether the North American perspective will prevail with respect to the Chinese one. To be honest, we have also, as Westerners, to modify our attitude. The previous history, for instance, in African countries, have been an history of colonialism. Now, if we wanted to reestablish positive relations with these very important countries, we have to set up partnership more concerned to set up sustainable socio-technical systems in these countries.
Giuliano, I think you raised some absolutely fantastic points. The fact is the West and the Washington consensus has always come financial assistance with you've got to change and become more democratic and change your institutions. I get your point about China not asking for all those conditions. The other point I want to raise, and go back to our original point about the potential decoupling between the US economy and China as well. The evidence says, actually, so far, in the last couple of decades, regardless of the stripes of who's in the White House, it's gone completely the opposite direction. Trade on a total basis, trade on an export and an import basis has picked up fairly aggressively as well. So is it a question of actually hearing what the politicians have to say, but taking it with a pinch of salt?
Well, as we said before, it's almost impossible to decouple from China. Just to point out, over the last 10 years, more than 40% of the global GDP growth came from China. China now is the most important market from a global viewpoint as far as automotive is concerned, luxury good is concerned, as far as mechanical systems, automation, and several other categories. So let me say that on the one hand, European and North American countries need the Chinese market, and they will, and the business community will exert a strong pressure on governments to try to avoid decoupling. Decoupling, as we were saying, represented a sort of temptation for United States, but as a matter of fact, as we were pointing out, is now impossible. What is relevant for the next few years is a transparent dialogue between United States and China, where United States of America clarify in a very strong manner what are the boundaries of the cooperation. Please consider that China has a fragile economy nowadays. China is in the worst year of this last 30, 40 years of this incredible economic growth. So China needs the Western world. China needs Europe, since Europe is the biggest export market for China. So in this time, we have the levers to set up a frank, robust, and clear dialogue to aimed at setting up reciprocity in terms of commercial conditions between China and United States. But Europe, above all, needs to assume a unitarian perspective, so being very concrete and united. At the same time, need to be very clear with Chinese on what European countries want, what they want to avoid. So these are tough moments, but important moments for the future of our economy and of our peace.